30, 29,
28,
27,
26,
25,
24,
23,
22, 21,
20,
19,
18,
17, 16, 15, 14,
13,
12,
11,
10,
9,
8,
7,
6,
5,
4, 3,
2,
1, 0.
My name's Phil Togwell. I work with Prayer Spaces in Schools.
I'm Jemima Whitbridge and I'm part of the Youthscape team, and we're just really delighted that we get as organisations to partner together to bring this conference day to you. Really looking forward to what's ahead, Phil.
Now, you should have the programme on one of the emails that you received, or it's also available on the website, so it'll give you a clear idea of the running order of the day. Apparently it's also on a thing called Shed, but I have no idea what that is. If you don't yet have the Zoom links for the seminars later on this morning and this afternoon, they are available, but you need to send an email really quickly to tandia@prayerspacesinschools.com, and she'll send you all the details that you need. Jemima, what is it that you're really looking forward to today?
Great question, Phil. Can I say all of it? Is that
You
all
can,
right?
you can,
I'm really looking forward to everything. No, I'm really looking forward to a few different things today. I think Rachel Gardner's going to be amazing this afternoon. I think she's going to just kind of send us out feeling equipped and restored. And I'm also really looking forward to hearing Aisha Thomas, who is assistant principal over in Bristol. So I'm looking forward to listening to her seminar too.
Amazing. For me, it would be Esther Deans. She's doing a keynote this afternoon. She's talking about racial diversity and how we face some of those issues. And I think as well, we've got two seminars on chaplaincy, one by Josh Hunt and one by Catherine Simpson. So I'm really looking forward to both of those seminars.
And the great thing is that if, like me, you can't quite work out what to pick, we are recording everything, and so you will have the opportunity to go back after today and watch as much as you want after the day has ended as well.
Fantastic. Now, we're here in Boot Mills. It's a bit weird for me being a long way from home, and we're here in the home of Youthscape. Jemima, could you just tell us a little bit about what Youthscape is for the benefit of those who don't yet know?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a charity. We're 25 years old, and we exist to support and equip Christians and churches and schools workers all over the UK to support and love and serve young people. And so one of the ways that we do that is by running youth work and schools work here in Luton. So similar to lots of people tuning in right now, I'm sure, we are in schools, we are supporting and mentoring young people. And one of the things that we're doing at the moment, because obviously we'll come to this later on, but you know, COVID has hit us hard actually, and I'm sure there'll be lots of people at home sort of experiencing that too. And the thing that we are doing at the moment looks very different, and we are, instead of running the multiple different courses and projects that we used to run, we've simplified everything, and we've developed some resources called Thrive for our schools workers here in Luton, but also schools workers across the UK to use to support children and students as they return to education this September. So cheeky little plug, if you're interested in any of those resources, you can find them at youthscape.co.uk/thrive. There's some videos on there, there's some great content, lots of activities to use in schools. But that's kind of what we're doing at the moment. How about you, Phil, over at Prayer Spaces?
Yeah, so Prayer Spaces in Schools has been running for about 10 years. We're slightly younger than you. And you know, usually Prayer Spaces would take over a classroom and it would turn it into a place of reflection and prayer. Obviously, the last few months, lots of pupils haven't been in schools, and so we've had to learn how to adapt and how to offer prayer spaces to schools in a variety of different ways, or socially distanced ways. And we'll be looking at that in my seminar a little bit later on. So I'll leave it there for now.
Amazing. Well, we just want to welcome everybody virtually as well, because we're actually, we know that this is not how we would have loved to do this, is it? And actually, both of our organisations around this time of year, we gather schools workers together, we pray with each other, we get ourselves ready for the beginning of the academic year. And we would just like at the very beginning of the day to acknowledge that this isn't what we would have loved it to be, but we are really excited for what is to come. And we're really, really excited that you are with us and have joined us, and that we get to be with you today in a slightly different way. We know interaction isn't going to be quite the same. Normally, I don't know about you, Phil, but I'm the one that sneaks out early to get a coffee and have a chat. But we want to encourage you to use the chat function, speak with us, share your stories, share your thoughts. We're really, really keen to hear what you are, what's kind of going through your head as you're listening throughout the day. So please do keep in touch with us that way. We're going to try as much as we can to sort of incorporate different stories and different views and different thoughts throughout these sessions.
So we're going to crack on with the first keynote in a moment, but as you know, in good conference style, there's a few bits of housekeeping that we need to do first of all. So the fire exits, nearest door, nearest window, just head for that. Toilets for us are over there, so perhaps you could familiarise yourself with where your toilets are. And teas and coffees, please feel free to head to your kitchen and get yourself a tea and coffee. I think that's about it for housekeeping.
That's the great thing about today. Refreshments are unlimited, right?
Absolutely, and no one's going to notice when you sneak out of the room to go and get one.
Exactly. Well, we're really, really excited to introduce our first guest. I've known Jill now for about 12 years. She was a huge inspiration to me, actually, as I was starting out at the very, very beginning of my time in schools. She was one of those first people that really inspired me and really, I spoke directly into my life and kind of encouraged me to keep going when things got a bit tough. But she's amazing. She really speaks into the theme of our day, which is new hope. You will have seen our Bible verse today, Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, says God. Plans for a hope and a future. And we're going to focus on what a new hope in this season looks like for us. What does it look like to look back to God and remember where our hope comes from and the future that He's set before us? And so, Jill, we're really looking forward to hearing from you. Get your notebooks out, because there is so much packed in to this first session. It's going to be amazing.
So don't forget, use the chat as Jill is speaking. It's about 12-13 minutes, I think, her presentation. So please use the chat, any comments that you've got or questions, and we'll try and interact around that afterwards. Over to you, Jill.
My name's Jill Rowe, and I'm the Ethos and Formation Director for Oasis here in the UK. It's great to be talking to you today. A few weeks ago, Michelle Obama gave a speech during which she said about young people, right now, kids in this country are seeing what happens when we stop requiring empathy of one another. They're looking around wondering if we've been lying to them this whole time about who we are and what we truly value. She was saying that they are looking to see if our hope is real. They're looking to see if our hope is real. Yes, it was about America, but some of what she said could be true of the UK as well. We're living in unprecedented times. Things we've always done no longer make sense, and the curtain's being pulled back on systems, beliefs and practices that aren't good or don't work. There's chaos and disruption and a pandemic that's highlighted the need for change. We're also waking up to the power of data and algorithms being used to determine people's fate as well. But we're seeing also some amazing goodness right now as well. During lockdown, we've been more connected to the environment and to our neighbours than we've been for years. We've heard bird song and the earth has breathed deeply. People have checked in on their neighbours. We've seen a temporary end to homelessness. Creativity has rocketed, our consuming has dropped, and capitalism has been seen for what it truly is. People, especially young people, are calling for racial equity and a care of the environment. So the world is changing at pace, and we're entering something new, a reformation or a reformation. We've read about this stuff, but it's the first time we've ever lived it. So what does it mean to navigate this and to be bringers of hope to the children and young people we serve, knowing that some of that change is also very, very traumatic for people? Let me tell you about when I learned to swim. I was just 4 years old, and there was a lot of sinking and a lot of splashing. There were moments when I didn't know which way was up, and I didn't know if I'd get out of the pool alive. What's all this got to do with being a bringer of hope? Well, my mum was there when I was learning to swim, and in those disorientating and sinking moments, let me tell you what she said. Reach for the edge, Jill. Put your feet down on the bottom of the pool. I'm right here. My mum's voice, powerful, present, and bringing me hope. For us all, adults, children, young people, right now can feel deeply unsettling, like we're splashing around, not knowing how to swim, disorientated, even sinking. And just as my mum's words brought me hope way back then, we need to do that for our children and young people that we serve today. I'm right here. Reach for the edge, put your feet down, notice the solid ground beneath you. If you could draw a flowchart right now made up of 5 boxes, it should look like this. And I'm going to highlight 5 things that we need to grapple with in order to be bringers of hope ourselves. Firstly, recognise our influence. Recognise our influence. The word rabbi is often translated as teacher, but it's much deeper and richer than that. Jesus was a rabbi. Rabbis had followers, disciples or apprentices who were not only learning what their rabbi knew, the theology and beliefs, they were working out how do you do life through that rabbi. They watched how their rabbis reacted, their choices, the decisions, the way they treated people, their behaviours, the manner, the way they spoke and how they entered and left a room, who they ate with and what they ate. You get the picture. The most important thing for us to recognise is that we're rabbis to the children and young people we're serving. Their understanding of what it looks like to be hopeful in these chaotic and unprecedented times is significantly influenced by what they observe in us, what we say and do in this time of reformation. You have also heard of the word elder. Elders are those who have the wisdom, courage and humility to learn from what life has brought them, becoming reference points for others on how it's possible to navigate what seems unmanageable. They become storytellers, recounting with grace the path that we can take to make it safely to the other side, which means that our job is to do the hard work of making sure we're well placed to be such rabbis and elders. We each have the responsibility of doing the difficult work, the unsexy work of considering our own lives, and in particular the ego work of who we are, becoming more familiar with our interior landscape, motivations and character. Quaker Parker Palmer says this: good leadership comes from those who have penetrated their own darkness and arrived at the place where we are at one with one another. Good leaders are people who can lead the rest of us to a place of hidden wholeness because they have been there and know the way. Second thing is this: lean into the disruption and chaos of now. It's a phrase being used at the moment. It's VUCA, V-U-C-A, volatile, unpredictable, complex, ambiguous. Brené Brown identifies 2 different responses to challenging situations or chaos. One is overfunctioning, where we become really intentional about taking back control of anything within our grasp. And during the pandemic, some people got really busy doing excessive cleaning and tidying and list making and instructing others and meal planning. And for others of us, we underfunction, we lose ourselves and merge with the chaos of context or climate we're in, and can become part of the problem even ourselves. But chaos isn't something to be afraid of or withdraw from or control. It's the starting point of creativity. It's the birthplace of the new and the better. The divine pattern in the Genesis creation poem is one of chaos, hovering over the void, and then light comes and then solid ground. You know how it goes. So chaos is the starting point, not the abiding point. And if we lean into it and change our perspective, we can bring a narrative that sees the invitation of the better in the chaos of now. And when we do this, it brings hope. It changes how we see, and it will change the way children and young people see and interpret life. It brings hope. So how are you responding to the chaos? Thirdly, recognize that hope is cognitive and active. Hope has often been relegated to some kind of wishful thinking, but hope is the action that fills the space between the now and the not yet. Hope sweats and gets to work. It's cognitive. It's something that we think, then announce, and then act upon. Martin Luther King spoke about hope when he declared that he had a dream. He wasn't saying, I've got a picture. He was announcing his manifesto for what wasn't yet a reality. It was an action plan for the civil rights movement. It involved marching and imprisonment and campaigning and blood and sweat and tears. Think about the Lord's Prayer. Your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. This was a revolutionary statement of hope. It was an announcement of peace and wholeness and justice and inclusion and love and generosity, of the not yet being imagined for the now and turned into reality through the actions we take. So, for the children and young people whose well-being is being compromised right now, what can we imagine? For the young people who are caught in comparison culture, what can we imagine? For those who during this pandemic have and continue to experience hunger, abuse, see domestic violence, are rejected because of their sexuality, what can you imagine for them? What can we imagine, and what will we do about the biases of or the poor systems of belief that are destroying hope rather than bringing it? Are we doing anything that's creating trauma? What injustices do we need to fight? Because bringers of hope think about this stuff and then act to make it happen. Hope is cognitive and active. It sweats. It tears down the walls of disadvantage and exclusion. And it is the prayer of your whole life. Fourthly, hope sees. One of the most painful experiences for any person is to be ignored. So imagine being a child or a young person at the moment and think about the degree to which you feel seen or forgotten. Think about the exam chaos or the racist culture that so many of our young people are victims of. Think about not knowing what the future holds, but knowing that the pandemic is going to impact your generation the most. In Zulu culture, there's a traditional way of greeting others. A person greets you with the words, I see you, to which the response is, I'm here. When we are seen, we shift to a place of belonging, and belonging is the foundation of community, both absolute necessities for health and well-being of children and young people and us. Father Gregory Boyle points out, we're all here just walking each other home. We belong to each other, and our role as bringers of hope is to see those we serve and to do all we can to enable each one of them to be exactly who they are created to be, and to flourish in that and to experience belonging and hope. And finally, be rooted in hope ourselves. My mum said, I'm here, right here, reach for the edge, feel the solid ground beneath you. To be bringers of hope, I must be rooted in hope. You must be rooted in hope, deeply anchored, rooted and anchored in the divine, in God who is ever present in the whole of life. The Psalm 46 tells us all about this, that phrase, be still and know. Be still and know that I am God. Our job is to be bringers of hope, elders of hope, those who understand what hope is and to be rooted in hope ourselves. I'm right here. Reach for the edge. Feel the solid ground beneath you. The invitation in chaos is to be bringers of hope.
Welcome back, everyone. We are sorry about the kind of glitchiness in the stream there. We are working to solve this right now, a few technical hitches, but I don't think that diminished the content, the impact of what Jill had to say, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. I feel like I'd like to go back and re-listen to it already. Those 5 points that she gave were just, you know, it was just full of content there, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
What was it for you, Jemima, that really struck you?
Yeah, I mean, just that idea of us being rabbis and leaders, you know, that's not a new
Yeah.
thought, is it? We know that we are leaders. We know that we are the ones discipling young people, even if that looks slightly different in a school context. But actually, just the reminder again that even in the midst of chaos, actually, you know, our position and our responsibility is to stand up and lead and say, actually, it's okay. Despite the circumstances, I'm going to trust God and I'm gonna lead. And I love that. I definitely needed to hear that in the last few months. But yeah, not to be afraid of the chaos and to step into it, and that's the place where creativity can really kind of be born from and spring out of. And yeah, I think for me, those are probably some of my immediate thoughts, my immediate takeaways. How about you, Phil?
That chaos and creativity thing really struck me as well. It's almost as if we need to be sort of pushed or pulled out of what we're comfortable with into unknown, into the chaos of unknown and uncontrollable, to be able to discover new things. You know, we don't fully experience new, and therefore we don't fully experience new hope unless we are in the chaos of being out of control. You know, I think that, and those last few months, it has been like that for us, hasn't it, in so many different ways. I think the other thing that really struck me, I think it was Jill's fourth point about seeing, that little metaphor she used. I see you, and as you are seen, you belong. As I am seen, I belong. I'm drawn into belonging. And it reminded me of the passage at the end of Matthew 9, where Jesus and the disciples, they sat around at the end of a long dusty day, and Jesus sees the crowds, and Matthew writes that they are harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. And then he turns to his friends and says, it's harvest. And it's like Jesus sees two things at the same time, and I think this is what Jill is directing us towards. It's see the brokenness, see the harassment and helplessness. We see that, don't we? This is what we've seen and are seeing at the moment in the lives of children and young people, that feeling of being lost and broken and like sheep without a shepherd. But at the same time, see harvest, see fruit, see goodness, see new things growing. And maybe that's the real challenge for us at the moment, is to see. And it's easy to see the brokenness, isn't it? I think it's harder work to see harvest and hope, but that's critical for us at this time. That's probably, I guess, what today is all about, is hopefully us. Yes, we can see the challenges, but how do we see with hope? How do we see harvest? How do we see fruit? So that's the bit, I think, that really struck me and really encouraged me.
Yeah, and I think the part where Jill said, hope is the action between the now and the not yet. Gosh, what a powerful phrase.
Yeah.
I know that's the bit that I think when I was listening to it, I just sort of thought, wow, yeah, absolutely. There's something active about hope. There's something that doesn't let you stand still. Hope doesn't you don't get shocked into, it doesn't freeze you with fear. It kind of propels you into action despite whatever situations might be around you. It's the thing that kind of moves you forwards. And I just love that challenge to be bringers of hope, not kind of standing there offering hope, but people that actively step out, actively go into places of brokenness, actively go into schools where, you've got a visor up and you're going around your one-way system. I don't know if you've been back into schools yet. I had a very weird experience a couple of weeks ago in the first week of term, being back in to a school. But I know in that space where actually people are feeling that sense of chaos, and maybe hopefully by now beginning to get used to it, but actually bringing hope into those spaces, into the places where young people are, because ultimately we're not bringing hope to things, we're bringing hope to people, because we care about these young people, don't we? So I think that was something that has really struck me out of what Jill has said.
Fantastic. What a start. What a great first keynote.
Yeah.
Do please use the chat. Anything that grabs your attention, that inspires you, that excites you, raises a question for refer to those as we go through the rest of today. Now, we could not go through a day all about schools work without hearing from children and young people. Now, hopefully most of them are in school or maybe home education in some way, but we couldn't get them here in our lovely studio today. However, we have got them on film, haven't we? And I think this is the next bit. We're going to watch some children and young people who are going to tell us their response to what's happening in school, how they feel about it, and so we're ready to go.
There are a lot more restrictions and we're not allowed to see the other years.
And now there's a one-way system around the school.
Learning is easier because they're doing catching up because we've been off for 7 or 8, 9, 10 months.
Having to wear masks in all the corridors, even when you go to the toilet.
We have to sanitize our hands. We wear masks in the corridors. It's just weird, I guess.
My playground has been split into 2 pieces.
I feel good, but stressed at the same time.
It's different, but it works.
I'm happy because I get to see all my friends again.
Mixed emotions, really.
I'm really excited to be back at school because I really miss the atmosphere.
It's annoying, but also exciting because I feel actually happier because it was quite boring at home. I enjoy being back at school and you get to see all your friends and things and you can,
Get to see my friends.
Teachers can help you if you're stuck.
I quite like the lunches.
seeing friends again, learning new things, and just everything. Playing outside.
I get to see all my friends again and I start preparing for my GCSEs.
Well, probably just like having to keep a distance.
I don't get to control my day as much and I have to wake up early for school.
Get up very early. Having to be at school a lot earlier.
Not able to be around my family while I'm working.
Having to do the whole routine of waking up at 7 o'clock and not 10:30.
It just doesn't feel very comfortable.
Walking half an hour to get to school and
It's not like last time.
Aren't they amazing? We're so delighted that we were able to introduce and incorporate young people's voices in this day. It feels so important to hear from them. They are just phenomenal. We didn't prep them. We didn't know what they were going to say. There were moments where they made us laugh. There were moments where we were like, oh my goodness, that is so profound. And that's a 6-year-old speaking. But we're just so delighted to have them with us and we're going to hear from them throughout the day as well. So that's not the first, or that's only the first time when we will hear from them. We've had a few people mention in the chat that there are people here from Barbados, there are people with us from Sheffield, from Bridgend in South Wales. It is so great to have you with us. Keep telling us where you're from. Remember, keep using the chat. We'd love to
and your